Now, to begin today's video, we actually pick up with X-Force number 2. Now, X-Force number 2 does pick up where X-Force number 1 left off at. With that being said, remember, at the end of X-Force number 1, a new organization was able to reach the island and kill Charles Xavier. That right there is very huge. Now, we have no idea who is this new evil organization and how in the world they were able to locate the island, but they were able to use Domino as a way to kind of reach the island, because with the island, only mutants are allowed on the new island of COPPA. And so what this new organization did was use different body parts of Domino as a way to trick the system to believe that they were mutants entering COPPA's island. But in reality, it was an assassin group working for the new organization to kill Charles Xavier. And they were able to do that. Now, in X-Force number 2, we do pick up with Magneto and Charles Xavier. Magneto and Jean Grey. I have no idea why I said Charles Xavier. He's dead right now. But either way, we pick up with Magneto and Jean Grey. Now, this conversation is very important. And the reason why, because Magneto, he knows that Charles Xavier was the sole leader of COPPA. And with his death, a lot of mutants are going to be confused on what to do next, to stay on the island that was supposed to be safe, or go back out in the world and try to hide from people who are hunting down the mutants across the world. Now, you do have Jean Grey mention that with Charles Xavier's death, they need to go ahead and begin the backup plan. Now, the backup plan we are going to learn as we go through the X-Force book, but either way, it's Magneto saying we have more problems than rather working on the backup plan. Because if word gets out to the rest of the countries that our leader was killed just like that, only being around for a couple months as a new nation, that means other organizations are going to try to come after us to get rid of us. So we need to be careful on what we do next. Now here comes another problem for the X-Men, or really the X-Force, and that is Cerebro, because Cerebro is now offline thanks to the death of Charles Xavier. Now remember, this is a new version of Cerebro. Cerebro is basically now holding all the memories of different mutants across the world, just in case when one mutant dies, they still have the ability to plant the memories of that mutant into their new body. So for example, if Scott Summers dies and they're able to recreate a new body for him, well, that new body needs the memories of the old Scott Summers. And so Cerebro is holding all of the memories of Scott Summers just in case a new body was made for him to plant the memories in those new bodies. But with the death of Charles Xavier, well, that means Cerebro is offline. And with it offline, that means Beast must find a way to basically turn it back on so they can begin the process of bringing Charles Xavier back to life. But then we jump over to Wolverine, Sage, Dr. Reyes, and Black Tom. And the reason why, because they were able to save at least one of the people from the assassination team that had killed Charles Xavier. And they're going to try to save his life so that Jean Grey can use her powers as a way to read his mind, to hopefully learn more about this new organization and where they came from, and also to find Domino. Now here comes the big problem though. Wolverine does not want to wait at all. He wants to go ahead and leave the island right now. Matter of fact, he tells the rest of the characters if they are not able to save this man's life, they need to go ahead and bring Domino back to life once Beast is able to bring Cerebro back online, so that Jean Grey can go ahead and use her powers on the new body of Domino to hopefully learn about this new organization. But you didn't have the rest of the characters wondering where in the world Wolverine is going to, and why can't he just tell Jean Grey himself? And the reason why, because he's going to leave the island to go hunt down the people who did this to Charles Xavier, and also hopefully to find Domino as well. Now, while Wolverine is out there trying to find different clues on who could be this new organization and where to find them, well, that is the moment he does run into another character that is going to join the X-Force team. And of course, that character would be Kid Omega. Now, Kid Omega is a very powerful psychic. And honestly, with him joining the X-Force team, this is great for their numbers. Now, of course, Wolverine does not like Kid Omega for a lot of different reasons. And of course, those reasons all took place back in previous stories. But either way, he does realize that if he has Kid Omega with him, then Kid Omega can actually help him find Domino and to hopefully shut down this new organization. And so you do have Kid Omega and Wolverine begin to work together to hopefully find Domino and save her life. Now, for Wolverine and Kid Omega, with all the clues that they were able to find, they were able to locate a warehouse nearby. Now, when they get to this warehouse, that is when they realize what this new evil organization is trying to do. Because while looking around the warehouse, they do find out that this new organization is making people. Not really clones, but basically making new people just out of science. So creating a brand new person to come alive and do different things for their new organization. And that right there is very, very dangerous, because usually in comics, you have most evil scientists make clones or some kind of half man, half robot. But now you're saying that they're just creating life out of nowhere as a way to be a new way to hunt down mutants. And that right there is scary for the mutant race. Now, we do jump back over to Jean Grey and Sage, because remember, Wolverine told Sage once they're able to save the man's life that belongs to that assassination team that had killed Charles Xavier, call over Jean Grey, read his mind, and learn everything he knows to help us out. The problem is, though, when you have Jean Grey come over and begin the process of reading his mind, well, of course, that is the moment you have Sage learn that this man is not your usual man, your usual human being. He was created differently, just like Wolverine and Kid Omega learned a moment ago. But on top of that, when Jean Grey tries to read his mind, something is different about his mind. And that makes sense, because he's not your usual human being. He's different. He's not even a clone. And the question is now, what kind of person is he? But to go ahead and wrap up this video, we actually do jump back over to Wolverine and Kid Omega. Now, while you have our two characters right now in that warehouse, hoping to find some more clues that could help them figure out what happened to Domino, who is this new organization, and how can we stop them, well, that is the moment they do get attacked by all those bodies that were being made by this new organization. On top of that, with these two characters being in this room, their powers have been canceled out, which means they can't use their powers. Wolverine's healing factor no longer works, and that right there is very huge for him. And for Kid Omega, he is a very powerful psychic, but that is it. He has no fighting skills, and so right now his powers has also been canceled. But on top of that, well, that is the moment they do find Domino. And just like I said in the last video, in this video as well, they have been taking apart Domino's body as a way to add them to different body parts of the new bodies they are being made in this warehouse, as a way to use her mutant ability or her mutant DNA for different reasons. But they found Domino. She is alive, but you can tell they have been cutting off pieces of her for different reasons. But with that being said, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please hit the like button down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I do hope you enjoyed today's comic book video. Later, guys.